This is the most important part of how you figure out what your macros need to be. Here's what you need to know. Hey you, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, hi, I'm Neisha and I make videos about Ketovore and lots of other things on my channel. So if that's something you're into, make sure you hit that subscribe button. The whole month of January 2021, I will be doing Ketovore focused videos. So if you're interested in learning more about that, then stick around and hang out with me. Today we're going to be talking about macros on Ketovore. This is a question I get almost every single day. So I wanted to do a sit down video and kind of go over the method to my macro madness with you guys, explain how I do it, and give you maybe some tips and suggestions on how you can figure out what is going to work best for you. So I'm gonna right off the bat tell you I don't count macros. I never have. I've never had to, and it's worked well for me so far. It has gotten rid of 97% of my Hashimoto symptoms. It helped me lose the 50-something pounds that I gained because of Hashimoto's. It's helped my mood. It's helped everything. I've had zero issues with getting results doing it this way. So for the sake of this video, we're going to talk about counting macros. Let's just talk about what macros are for just a second, in case some of you don't know. So it's pretty simple. There are three important macros: fat, protein, and carbohydrates. And so that's what you're basing your nutrition off of. I'll talk about calories a little bit, but this is what you really need to focus on: protein, carbs, and fat. What you can do is download this app. It's called Carb Manager. For the most part, that's the most popular one, best one, and that's what a lot of people use. So go download Carb Manager, and when you set this up, you can link it to your email or Facebook or whatever you want to do it, and then you'll put in all your information. It'll ask you questions: your age, your height, your fat percentage, all those kind of things, and then it will give you options for macros. So there's a keto option, there's a carnivore option, and then there's a protein heavy keto option, and we're going to go with that one. So you're going to click on that one for Ketovore. They don't call it Ketovore. Ketovore is just slang, you know. And so for me, when I did this, and I'll put on the screen how it looked for me for the setup. For me, when I did protein heavy keto, it still gave me way too many carbs. I recommend for Ketovore, true Ketovore, that you're trying to actually eliminate things, reduce inflammation, maybe lose more weight, maybe break a stall, all those type of things. You're going to crank the carbs down to 10. What it gave me was 22, and that's higher than what I would eat on keto. So definitely wasn't going by that. So when you decrease the carbs, it'll move your fat and protein up as well. And so then you have what I like to call a base for your macros, okay? And what I mean by that is that this is an estimate, okay? And this calculator takes a few things into consideration, but it definitely does not take everything into consideration. It is a guesstimate. It is a good place to start. But then on top of that, I want you to eat Ketovore and eat it intuitively. So eat a meat heavy, low veg way of eating, like I explained in the previous video that I did. So make sure you're counting your carbs. That's the most important thing. The carbs are the most important thing, not nutritionally, but for tracking wise. So keep those carbs under 10 total grams, and you can get those from a little veg. If you're continuing to do artificial sweeteners, that can go towards your total grams of carbs. Cheese, eggs. There are certain meats that do have carbs. They don't affect you in the same way. For most people, it's very, very rare for egg carbs to mess you up. So I would do that for about a week. Track what you're eating intuitively by the calendar that I gave you in the previous video. So giving yourself 2 days a week or 3 days a week where you integrate very few veg carbs. All right, so under 10 total. And then compare how much fat and protein you ate to what your macro calculator told you. And then this is the most important part of how you figure out what your macros need to be. Here's what you need to know. What are your goals for eating this way? Is it weight loss? Is it decreased inflammation? Is it decreased pain? Is it management of type 2 diabetes? Is it to lower your A1C? What are your goals, okay? And then you're going to take that into account, the macros that you ate intuitively, and then how they helped you with your goal. And so I said a week. The best way to do this would be for about a month, intuitively, and then compare to what the calculator told you. And at the end of the month, see how you did. Did you lose inches? Are your symptoms from your autoimmune disorder better? Is your pain better? Or your blood sugars more stable? Now, some people do see an increase in blood sugar with more protein. However, as long as it's still normal blood sugar numbers, if it went up 5-10 points, that's not a big deal if it's still within normal range. I encourage you to have labs drawn before you do this, or if you've had recent labs, that's great, because you want to make sure that your A1C at the end of this is the same, if not much better. And that is the goals that are going to encourage you with the macros that you're going with. A good place to keep your fat to protein ratio is a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio. And it's really easy to do that if you're eating fatty cuts of meat. So like bacon is basically a 1-to-1. Fatty brisket, fatty ribs, fatty steaks, chicken thighs. Most fatty meats have a good protein to fat ratio. And then you're also going to be cooking in the fat as well. So cooking bacon fat or beef tallow, something along those lines. Butter is fine as well. And so you're adding those fat macros on as well. For some people, they may need to play around with that ratio. If you feel like you're eating too much fat, feel free to decrease the fat. See how you do for a few weeks with less fat. Or maybe you need more protein. Then go up on your protein grams for a few weeks. This is 100% individualized. I cannot give you a set amount of macros. I can tell you, eat real foods, eat fatty meat, eat animal fats, and eat till you're full. Do not try to limit your portion size. Unless you are one of those, I hear this sometimes, but some people gain weight on carnivore. But here's the thing. Most of the people that I am in contact with that gained weight on carnivore only gained it for a little while. And then they kept on going and the weight came off. Kelly Hogan is one of these people. She gained weight in the beginning, but now look at her before and after pictures. If I can find one, I'll put it here for you guys. Seriously, give it time. Give things time. Trying things for a week, that's not long enough. Really, a month to 6 weeks is where you need to stay and be consistent to see true results. How is my body really going to respond to that? And it has a lot to depend on how long have you been overweight? How long have you been a diabetic? How long have you had health issues? Are you young? Are you middle-aged? Are you older? Are you going through menopause? Did you just have a baby? Are you breastfeeding? Macros are not cut and dry. And I think a lot of people will ask me, what should my macros be? And think that I'm just going to be like, poof, here you go, and give you a magic number for macros. And it's just not that simple. It's not. What is simple is keeping your foods clean. Good quality meat, but it can be less quality and it's still fine and you can still see benefits. Very little veg. 10 total grams of carbs is where you need to keep it. Again, if you want to eat more veg, go back to keto. That's totally fine. I'm not telling you that veg is bad, and if you love it, you don't need to eat it. Ketovore isn't for everybody. Some people really want their veg, and that's fine. But if you're someone who is trying to decrease inflammation, trying to heal their body, trying to reduce symptoms of an autoimmune disease, trying to get that A1C down fast, this is where you need to stay. The main macro is those carbs. Under 10 total grams of carbs, under that if you can manage it, okay? And that's not really per day. 10 grams of carbs needs to be on your veg days. If you haven't watched the first video, go watch the first video. I'll link it in the description. It's fine if you don't want to do it this way. I'm just trying to tell you, here's how you can get the best results, the fastest results, and fast is relative, okay? Depending on how long you've been sick, how long you've been diabetic, how overweight you are, how long you've been overweight. These things can fluctuate, okay? But I can tell you with 100% certainty, cutting down your carbohydrates as low as possible is going to help speed things along. It's just going to. Fat and protein are things for you to play around with and find what works best for you. But like I said, a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio is a good place to start. Okay guys, that's it for this little video. I hope it gave you some insight on how I've done things and how to look at macros and how to evaluate your specific situation and what macros are going to best fit your needs. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you, mean it. Bye.